find your seats and make yourselves comfortable. Welcome to natHACKS 2024. I'm Sachi, co-director of hardware at NeurAlbertaTech, or NAT for short, and I'm thrilled to be kicking off our opening ceremony tonight. I would like to introduce our host for the evening, Eden Redmond, to you. Eden is the co-founder and CEO of NAT. It's my pleasure to introduce you to Eden Redmond, our host for the evening. He's worked tirelessly to grow NAT into Alberta's biggest neurotech community. Please join me in welcoming Eden Redmond. I would like to welcome NeurAlbertaTech CEO and Executive Director Eden Redmond to the stage.
Oh, thank you. Awesome. Yeah, sorry for the wait, but everybody got the pizza. Glad to see. Let's fix that. Welcome to, thank you. Thank you, Sachi. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our 4th annual natHACKS. We're absolutely delighted to have you with us. We're joined by a delegation of McGill grad students, kind of spread throughout the venue, as well as some teams from closer to home, from cities like Calgary. So to kick things off, we're covering an overview of NAT and natHACKS, followed by an opening remarks from a few of our partners, and then we'll hear from our keynote speaker, Darren Fast, an associate vice president from here at the University of Alberta, and then we'll end on some need-to-know tips and tricks for succeeding in the hack. And then we kick off our 64 hours. So got a lot in store for the next 40-ish minutes, so let's get started. So NAT was founded in 2019 from a place of pure nerdiness mixed with an underlying frustration. So there's frustration coming from hearing throughout the ecosystem the common refrain that innovation is paramount. And at the same time, we looked out and saw some pretty large and persistent gaps that still to this day remain largely unaddressed. So these gaps include limited access to emerging tech, so on the hardware side or the software side, scarce opportunities for meaningful collaboration across disciplines, and a lack of hands-on experience that could turn ideas into action. And so NAT was started with the goal of addressing those gaps. And so these challenges led us to establish the core pillars of NAT, which are education, collaboration, and innovation. So firstly, education. As technology advances rapidly, traditional educational models are struggling to keep up, especially in neurotech, where meaningful progress depends on an overlap of multiple disciplines. And this disconnect directly leads to a gap in talent needed to address the complexities of today's challenges. And to bridge this gap, we need to bring the focus of our institutions back to more practical hands-on learning and create more opportunities for education to interface meaningfully with real-world problems. And without this shift, our educational systems are at a serious risk of becoming less relevant in solving the pressing issues that we face. Next, we have collaboration, our second pillar at NAT. Progress in neurotech is, like other emerging technologies, is contingent on bringing together expertise from various fields: neuroscience, engineering, comp sci, design and business, and so on and so on. We have a pretty good spread of representation from across the campus here. However, silos persist quite strongly within academia and industry, and are in some ways increasing and systematized. And that limits the potential for meaningful collaboration to take form. So at NAT, we're actively working to break those barriers down. So our programs are designed to foster the rare connections across discipline and enable you to work with people who bring different perspectives. Hence why we are adding bonus points this year for diversity in domains of study and interest. So the intention here is to build a common language with people who are outside of your silo. And by collaborating here in this way, your skill sets and solutions that you're developing will be objectively stronger, more comprehensive, and more relevant to the real world. So innovation isn't just about a good idea, it's about having an environment where that idea can take form. However, young innovators face a lot of barriers that limit their ability to create meaningful impact and often to even take the first step. So I commend all of you for taking a meaningful step and throwing yourself at our hackathon. Traditional innovation systems tend to prioritize those with more advanced credentials, and those with existing connections and status, and leaves not as much room for fresh perspectives. So like all of our programs, we aim to level that playing field by providing tools and support needed for younger innovators to explore and come into their own as innovators. So natHACKS is one of such opportunities, a space where you can develop a vision and then bring it to life. So what are we all here for today? natHACKS, it's Alberta's largest hackathon, intended to foster the aforementioned collaboration across disciplines and tackle complex challenges in health, wellness, and recreation. And so over the next 64 hours, you'll get hands-on experience working with a diverse team, hopefully, and to develop innovative solutions. I've said innovate a lot. That's lots of buzzwords. Let's knock those down. The event includes a variety of workshops to help you build the hands-on tech skills, many of which have already happened and are available to review, but many will also be happening live. And as well, you'll be competing. It's a competition after all, for $30,000 in seed funding / in-kind support from some of our partners, which has the intention, should you choose to help you continue on developing your project. And along the way, you'll have the opportunity to connect with other innovators, there it is again, learn from mentors, and network with industry professionals. And next, it's my pleasure to introduce this year's natHACKS co-presidents, Yash and Riddick.
Thank you, Eden, and hello everyone. Welcome to natHACKS. I'm Yash. I'm the director of web at NeurAlbertaTech.
And I'm Ritik, co-director of hardware. We are thrilled to be co-presidents for natHACKS this year. It's wonderful and exciting to see you all here. Since Eden will be covering most of the key information and deadlines shortly, all we really wanted to do is take a moment to introduce ourselves and wish you luck for the 64-hour hacking journey.
We would also like to take this opportunity to thank everyone who has been part of this journey, admin team, volunteers, everyone. Thank you for helping us make this a success.
Well, just a quick reminder, our mentors and volunteers and organizers are always around. They'll be walking around. Please don't hesitate to ask them questions.
And also, this might be your first hackathon. This might be the first time you're working with neurotech and biosignals. But don't be intimidated by that. Look around in the room and you will see many people who are in the same boat as you. Take advantage of this opportunity and meet those people. Feel free to learn things and break stuff and then rebuild again.
Well, remember the spirit of natHACKS is all about collaboration and innovation. So dive right in, explore new ideas, and get creative. There's something I want all of you to know, is that you might not win. Well, it is what it is. You might not get the right piece of hardware. Your code might not run. But I can promise you all that you will walk out with good friends, great ideas, and stellar experience. Welcome to natHACKS 2024, everyone.
All right, thank you, Yash and Ritik. Up next, we have a brief welcome video from Edmonton's Mayor, Amarjeet Sohi, who will be kicking off our opening remarks. If it plays.
Edmonton has become a hub for cutting-edge technology, and the use of their work to solve real-world problems is truly unique. And during the 64-hour hackathon weekend, your skills will be put to the test. Get creative, because this is going to be exciting.
Committed to creating meaningful connections. She's passionate about supporting others in reaching their goals through effective networking and relationship building, and loves her job working with startups, scale-ups, and service providers all throughout the Edmonton innovation ecosystem. So join me in welcoming Janice to the stage.
Hello, everybody. Okay, so I have a whole paper and a thing, but I always abandon that when I get on a stage. Who here is here for the first time participating? Wow. Holy moly, that's amazing. So what I love and why the ERN has supported this initiative for quite a few years now, I think I went back in our files, and I think I saw since about 2021-ish. And so we're really proud to do that. And the reason for that is because it really embodies what it is that drives us at the Edmonton Regional Innovation Network. And we are a coalition of organizations that help to support innovation, once again, in our Edmonton region. And we do that by connecting people with resources, with access to funding, and with community. And so what you're doing here today is important because you're going to get hands-on skills in developing, solutions to the problems that you're going to tackle. But I think what's really important and why I love this event so much is that you're also here to build community. Community of people who are like-minded, who want to, build something and do more than just for your own personal gain. You're looking to push forward things that may go ahead to change the world. And that's really inspiring, and that's very powerful. So again, the work that NeurAlbertaTech is doing with this event perfectly reflects the spirit of the Edmonton Regional Innovation Network. And I'm just really excited to see what it is that you all come up with this weekend. And there was a note in the book, and I don't know if you all read your book, your hacker guide, but please shower. That is very important. At least once it says in there that you need to shower. So I will reiterate that because your teammates will thank you for it. But most of all, everybody have a great time. Connect with one another. Do something amazing this weekend, and don't forget to shower. Thanks, everybody.
All right. Thank you, Janice. Next, we'll be hearing from Alan Wayne, head of startup at Edmonton Unlimited. Alan is passionate about turning ideas into action with a strong background in non-for-profit and cross-cultural education. At Edmonton Unlimited, he brings energy and insight into delivering the curriculum, leading workshops and around the world, and he enjoys working with founders to help them take the next step. Alan is dedicated to giving back to the community and has been involved in numerous humanitarian projects over the years. Warm welcome to Alan Wayne as he takes the stage.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to an incredible 60 hours. I had the privilege of spending not 60 hours, just one day at a hackathon in August. And I just watched where people started with this idea and what they produced by the end. So I hope that you start this journey over these next 60 plus hours with some really big dreams. It's a real privilege for us as Edmonton Limited to be behind this particular event. Over these next few days, you'll have the opportunity to meet some of our team. Jeff, who is our lead executive in residence for our post-secondary institutes, he'll be here. Tristan, who, if you are working and creating your story for that presentation at the end, find Tristan Ham when he is here. He is an incredible storyteller. And Gino will be one of the judges who is in there. So we're passionate about this event. And I want to just remind you that, and you've heard already, that this is just the beginning. This is a great place to start. And I was saying to Vice President Darren a few minutes ago, in this room, there are ideas that don't need to end here at this hackathon. There are many ideas that can go much beyond that. And if you're taking your idea beyond this, we want to help you at Edmonton Limited. Figure out the next steps, the supports, the workshops, the mentors, the coaches that can take your idea and launch it into a full-scale company that will grow and that will scale. So connect with us. Look us up on the website. You'll see our team around here today. I would love to be able to connect, and I know some of the people in this room have connected already. I'd love to be able to connect with you or connect you to one of our team and take this idea that you start with on this weekend and launch it into something that's great. So have an absolutely amazing weekend.
Right. Thank you very much, Alan. Next, let's take a moment to show some appreciation, some love to our partners who made this event happen. natHACKS is not only possible, is only possible with the many valuable collaborations we've had ongoing for the last 12 months. It's a little bit of work to plan one of these. And each organization here that's represented has played a significant role in the success of the upcoming days. So tomorrow afternoon, you'll actually have the opportunity to meet representatives from many of these lovely organizations at our innovation mixer. For those who are here in person, sorry for our Lethbridge folks tuning in. Yep, so I look forward to seeing all of you coming out to the mixer tomorrow, just downstairs in the Orion room, 1 p.m. Don't be late. Lots of hors d'oeuvres will be flowing. And yeah, several of these organizations are also actively looking for talent. So take a short break, pry yourself away from your problems, and check it out tomorrow. Next, we have our keynote speaker, Darren Fast. Darren Fast is an Associate Vice President of Innovation, Knowledge Mobilization, and Partnerships at the University of Alberta. Darren has a PhD in biochemistry, also from the University of Alberta, and a master's in chemistry from the University of Manitoba. So join me in welcoming Darren Fast to the stage.
Okay. Well, happy to be here, everyone, and this is a really exciting weekend. I am looking forward to seeing what you will create. Do I have to point this somewhere, or because it just?
Oh, I see you're on it.
There we go. Okay, so I'm going to talk to you today about innovation ecosystems. And you guys here today are part of the innovation ecosystem that is here at the University of Alberta, and we are thrilled to have you here. So welcome to anyone who is not regularly here at the University of Alberta. So I'm going to start with a definition of innovation that I really like because it's simple and it's really quite encompassing. And I think that's important to think of when you think about innovation. So it's doing something new that creates value. And so new could be new to the world, it could be new to the organization, it could be new to the sector, whatever that might be. And then the creating value, we often think about value as dollars, but that is not the only form of value. And I think that's really important because there's a lot of social innovation, there is a lot of other innovations that really help people make our communities and make our world better, but don't necessarily result in a lot of extra dollars being created. Not that dollars are bad, but that is by no means the only metric that we should be using around innovation. And if you think about an ecosystem, and there's a really simple graphic there, We've all seen that as like kind of a high school sort of thing. You've got the various parts, but the important parts are the producers, the consumers, the decomposers, and then you've got some dead or inorganic matter that's repurposed in some way. So if you think about an innovation ecosystem in something like this, where we're thinking about technology or improving people's lives, we've got the people who are going to create the ideas. You guys, for example. We've got the consumers, the people who are going to end up benefiting from those ideas. We've got the decomposers, and this is a reality that, if you think about all the companies that have existed over the last 50 years, how many of those were around 50 years ago? Not very many. There's a lot of ideas that simply get towards the end of their life, and they have to be repurposed into something else. That's okay. There are people to retrain. There are people to, take bits of that. You've got some expertise from somewhere. You can now bring it into your new organization. And then you've got all the raw materials. All the dollars would be one of those. We've got like all the labs, everything else is just there to be reused, to be repurposed, and so that we can continue to create innovations. And then, of course, it requires some energy. And that energy is basically that human capital that we're putting into this thing. So the other thing to think about when you're thinking about an ecosystem is there are many parts to it, right? And if you look at this simple graphic here, just starting at the top, you've got investors. Really important to have investors, or else nothing really happens. You've got industry, because all of these ideas that we might create, in a research lab or anywhere else, really need somebody to bring them to the market, because at the university, we cannot do that. So how do you do that? That's through industry. We've got the tech developers, the startups. Again, you guys right here. We've got workforce development, so we need training. We need educated people. So many, if not all of you, have been in university, so you've had that training to build you up as part of that workforce. We've got incubators and accelerators to really help move this process forward, because building a new technology into a company is not a solo effort. It really requires a team. We've got government. Government sets the tone, sets the environment for where we work and live. That's really important. We've got research organizations which play in this space. And then we've got the community connectors. We heard about ERIN and Edmonton Unlimited, and those are really good examples of community connectors. We also, and my guess is many of you have seen this TRL, Technology Readiness Scale. What happens here at places like universities, lots of research, good understanding of how things work, and that's easy-ish to get grant funding for. We might get to proof of concept. We might be able to show that it works in a lab in a really nice controlled environment, but taking it and scaling it to something that could actually be used by millions of people is quite hard. And there's a gap in funding, there's a gap in resources that happens in pretty much all ecosystems around this technology development. And so that's just something that's hard to overcome. So I'll talk a little bit about what we are building as an innovation ecosystem here at the University of Alberta. I think it's in many ways similar to what other groups are doing, but we have our unique twist on it. But I do want to take a couple of things out of our strategic plan, right? We want to be known as a university with transformational impact. So this is really important to us. This idea of taking what we develop and learn here at the University of Alberta and doing something with it. It's not enough just to gain that knowledge or create that knowledge. We have to do something. And again, we really want to have that global impact and not just publish another paper. So we've got, and I won't go through this slide, but we've thought about how do we actually take this research and move it out. And so we've got a really inventor-friendly intellectual property policy. We are very intentionally not trying to be greedy around this, but we are saying, hey, let's get the company started, let's get it growing, so that down the road, once they are hugely successful and they have more money than they know what to do with, they can make a donation back to the university, rather than try to starve the company along the way. So we really want to make sure the companies that we start and create here at the university have the ability to grow, because I think that's really, really important. So I'm going to just walk through this and build this slide around what we're trying to build here at the university. So we have this concept that we want to create impact, right? We want jobs for our graduates. We want economic development, because ultimately taxpayers pay for what happens here at the university. We want philanthropy. We like donations because that allows us to build new buildings, it allows us to provide scholarships, it allows us to do all sorts of great research. We want our reputation to continue to grow. We are in the top 4 in Canada, top 100 university in the world, but we want to make sure that that continues. And maybe, if we're lucky, we will get some revenue out of that as well. So, but we know that we as the university cannot create those things. Those things have to come through high growth, high impact organizations, typically companies. So we are keen to make sure that we can create those and support those. So what we do is we obviously start at the top left here. We start with research and we push it out, and hopefully we create some startup companies, and we've got some resources to make that process easier. We've got entrepreneurial supports. We do a bunch of training for folks. We've got the tech transfer office who can help with patenting things where that's appropriate. We have a number of incubators on campus that can help. We also have an innovation fund which can invest some real dollars into these startup companies where it makes sense. Here in Alberta, we've got a suite of programs from Alberta Innovates, and we have good relationships with lots of external groups in the community as well, because again, we recognize that we are often the genesis of these ideas, but we are not the ones who develop them all the way to the market. So that's sort of the push pathway. And you'll see things here that are in green. Those are things that we do reasonably well. And then there's things in red, which are really areas that we are trying to grow into. We also do a lot of work, not just on pushing technologies out, but partnering with outside organizations who might be able to benefit from the expertise we have here. So a lot of small and medium-sized companies, particularly here in Alberta, we really try to reach them. We do collaborative research projects with them. That's great. That provides some student training opportunities for people to figure out what does it look like to work in industry. And so again, create these high-growth companies that can create impact on our behalf. We also do something similar with not-for-profits and community groups, because again, innovation is not all about the companies, but it is about changing our communities. And then we also do something similar with big multinationals, because they also can bring a lot of work. And we just signed an agreement a couple of months ago with AWS, and down in Enterprise Square, just off Jasper, we have the Artificial Intelligence Discovery Place, which is a spot where people can come and learn and partner around artificial intelligence projects so that we can move some of those faster. But again, there's lots of great stuff that happens there. There's research chairs, there's opportunities for our students, lots of good stuff. And we also license some technologies to them on occasion, which is a good deal. And then we do things like this hackathon, which we support, and we're happy to support these sorts of things. But we're also working at building a venture studio type model here in Edmonton. And we will do this in partnership with outside groups, not just within the university, but where we, instead of starting with the research and trying to figure out what do you do with it, starting with the problem and figuring out how do we pull the problems out of the post-secondary institutions. And we have lots of collaborations with other universities, with colleges, with polytechs, sort of throughout the world, really. And so we can pull these things out and start these companies and have them enter that pathway and really become high-growth companies. And then we're also working on something I think is really exciting, probably a little less appropriate or applicable to you folks, but we're working at how do we help companies who just need some of the expertise or equipment that we have on campus. How do we make sure that they can come and access that in a really easy, low cost and efficient way so that we can help those companies grow? And I think that's going to be really important going forward in the future. And then, we're trying to think, how could we rethink graduate training? Because we know that only about 10 to 15% of PhD students ultimately become faculty members. So how could we reimagine that? How could we reimagine sabbaticals for our researchers so that they might say, hey, instead of going and working in somebody else's lab for a year, I want to start a company. How do we support those sorts of things? And then we're also talking about how do we support and connect our startups with the big multinationals, because they are often the customers for some of those organizations. So all of that is what we consider our innovation roadmap going forward. We are trying to build all this, and it's really quite exciting, and it really, as you can see, it involves lots of different groups, lots of different methods, because I think, as you think about what an innovation ecosystem looks like, it is not one thing, and it requires multiple touch points, and different people, different technologies need different approaches to move those forward. So if you look at this slide, you see in the middle, again, we've got that impact. So what do we need to have that? I mean, a big part of that is the culture, right? We want to encourage this. We want to make this a safe place for people to experiment, to try new things, recognizing that many of these things are going to fail, right? We know for every 10 companies that start, probably 8 or 9 of them will fail in the first couple of years. And that's okay, because those people can now go back and do it again and get it right the second time. We need lots of talent. We need lots of ideas. You guys are the talent and idea people. And part of that. And so that is really important. It's got to work with the culture. And then it's also got to have some capital behind it. And we're working at making sure that we've got a source of capital for our startup companies, that we can nurture them before they go out and get things like venture capital. But we really want to make sure that we've got all of these things in balance. So on our campus, and I'm sure for those who are at other universities, you've got a tech transfer office. We've got people who are focused on doing those partnerships. We have a number of incubators. We have a number of groups who work specifically with industry. That'd be like iSmart. We've got some great training programs like Lab to Market. And I think that one's really important as you're thinking about, why do startup companies fail? And it most often is because they don't fully understand the market. And I think that's really important. We've also got a program run by the province called the Innovation Catalyst Grant, which helps recent grads develop their idea into a physical prototype. And again, that's a $250,000 grant, non-dilutive funding. It's really, really great. And then in Alberta, we have a program called Explore IP, which is great for those folks who have intellectual property, and they can use some of the funding that they have to build strategies and to get that initial patent protection for their technologies and really move that forward. So I'm going to stop. I don't know if we have time for questions, how we're doing for time, but I'm happy to answer them if there are any. And I will leave you with that. So thank you very much for this opportunity. I hope you all have an amazing weekend and create lots and lots of really cool companies and ideas.
All right. Thank you, Darren. Now, before we kick off the weekend, let's go over some quick tips and tricks to close out the opening ceremony and get you all hacking. We got a very packed schedule for the next few days. You can stay up to date with what's going on. I think everyone would have gotten a brochure, and then teams will be allotted longer form print survival guides. So you can refer to those. And just a reminder for our teams, they are intended to be formed by midnight tonight, 5 to 6 members, keeping the teams consisting of 50% Albertans or more. And then you have 64 hours to hack. No code developed outside the hackathon window, so if you were working on something previously, start from scratch. You can utilize other packages, but just don't come bringing another project from another hackathon, let's say. And then prize money will fund future development of the project. And then we have a more long form rule list. It's a really exciting read. Highly recommend. And then we have mentors who will be with us throughout the weekend on the technical side, so helping with acquisitioning hardware, biosignals from your hardware, developing user interfaces, or on the business side, helping you refine your pitch, as that's an important part of the judging criteria. And you can find mentors in person or on Discord. We'll be setting up a mentor booth to make accessing mentors a little cleaner this year. And then lastly, submission consists of 4 parts, and so that's a GitHub repository, a brief written summary, and then a video presentation. And then you'll be live presenting to judges in 1 or possibly 2 different judging sessions. And so those will be, all judges will be here in person at the U of A, but then we'll be allowing for our virtual and Lethbridge teams to be joining us remotely. And then we have health, not just an afterthought. It's something to take into full consideration, take frequent breaks, and we also, throughout the weekend, will have wellness activities, either here or in the Orion room downstairs. And that includes a Super Smash Bros. Tournament at one point. Refer to schedule. And otherwise, don't sit down for 64 hours straight, or you're gonna get an embolism in your leg. So yeah, eat, walk around, drink. I'll take some questions later. I don't want you to get a sore arm there. And then we'll just end off with rapid fire, how to succeed at natHACKS. Succeed in either prizes or just learning a lot and networking. We have Nat Portal, so that's an online resource you would have applied to the hackathon through. So there's extensive documentation. Everything you'll find in the survival guide is also detailed there. Networking. Come to the Innovation Mixer tomorrow. Talk to people representatives from, I think, 16, 17 different companies in the Orion room. Reiterate, sleep and eat. We're here about neurotech, so you should at least by the time we're done this hackathon, understand that the brain needs food and sleep. Yep, don't hesitate to reach out to mentors. And then we're here for functional prototypes. Don't get laser focused on one component of your project. They're not meant to be market ready. That said, you should have some considerations for the market or for the end user in some capacity. But don't think you're going to walk away with something that's certified and ready for sale. That's not the point. And then otherwise, planning, make sure you're scoping out at a high level. Make sure your project is feasible. So when your team is trying to lock in your idea, feel free to check with myself or anyone else with a pink shirt regarding feasibility. So we highly recommend that all teams by midnight tonight just check in just to make sure we're all on the same planet and that your project is somewhat attainable within the time window allotted. And that'll just make it so everyone is able to walk away with something tangible. Yep, so midnight, then I know our hardware people have been badgered quite a bit in a good way. So hardware will be rented on deposit, or we do have some fee waivers at the back of the room. And then we have emergency exit over there. And this year we are joined by some lovely first aiders and nurses in the far corner by the hardware desk. And so they will be here all throughout the 64 hours. And last but not least, respect. So we haven't had any incident in 3 years of running natHACKS. Don't be the first one. If you're going to be a dink, for the lack of a better word, your entire team will be removed. That said, this is a place for an open discussion of ideas and challenging ideas. So on the other side of that, don't be completely unwilling to challenge your teammates or have meaningful discussion with other collaborators throughout the site. It's a fine line, just walk it. And lastly, it's okay to fail. You're gonna fail. It's an essential part of the progress. You're not doing a hackathon right if you're not a massive failure by the end of it. The future of neurotech will be shaped by those unafraid to take risk, just like all emerging technologies. So the strongest teams, and invariably the ones that rise to the top every year, are the ones that are willing to dive deep into learning the technical aspects, but then are able to not get so narrowly focused that they lose sight of what is the utility of this program, this device, and are able to broadly orient themselves and then do the deep dives. All right, that is it for the opening ceremony. I believe our countdown is a little bit off, but we'll be having a countdown all throughout the 64 hours on a camera by the hardware table. Let the hacking begin.